Hello and welcome to AAT Level 3 Spreadsheets for Accounting, Chapter 2 of the Osborne Books website, Formatting the Spreadsheet Data. I'm going to take you through in this video. It's from page 33 all the way up to page 46, page setup and printing. I'll do page setup and printing in a separate video together with the example questions. Just because I think it's going to be a bit long otherwise, and it sort of chops up into bits to be able to load it up into YouTube. So, what then I've done here is on page 33 we start, and we've got this as a little picture in there. And what we're going to do is it says first thing, making data bold. So we can click on the required cell. So let's say on here we click on the required cell. So we're in cell A1, which you'll see there, and we can click that there. That's the bold. Yes, that would be one version of doing it. Let's use the undo. And another version would be to right click in that and to go into format cells, probably into here, format cells, and select the font, and then to bold it in here, which is where font style bold. There we go. Very long-winded, nobody does that. Everybody just uses that there. You see how it's that switch to bold, so that's the bold there. Or alternatively, a little shortcut. Put your finger on the control button, your little finger on the left hand on the control button, keep it down, and then I just press the B, and that will be a shortcut, which is a shortcut there. Okay. To do more than one cell in bold, okay, so let's go for this lot. Let's highlight them, and then we'll just use a little B there. That would be one way of doing it. And remember, if you wanted to just do that and that and that, that is by clicking on it, keeping your finger now on the control key, and then clicking on the next one with the left mouse, and the next one with the left mouse, that one there. And if we bolded that, there we go, we just got those ones there. Not that I want to do that. Okay, so using italics, well, let's go for italics then. So we're going to go here, and we can use the italics one there. We could again do the format version with the right click. I don't know why we would do this. Here we are again, and we can go for italic there, and that's done it there. Or control and then I. So that would be our italics there. Okay. Underlining data. So let's go for here. We want our expenditure forecast to be underlined. That's this here. This is the underline line there. And that's now underlined it. To underline it, we click on the required cell, then we click on the arrow next to it. So let's go. See this little arrow here? Is there? And you would go for double underline if you wanted it to be there. So little arrow that's next to it, and that's where it would be. Okay. And if you want to just change them and switch these off, then you see how these are shaded. You would just unclick them and switch them off. Okay. So next one it says now we're on to page 36, font face. So the font is here. This is the type of font that we're going to use. This is the size of the font over here. So we're going to go through, and it says click on the required cell. Which ones are we going to go for? We're going to go for this one here, and we're going to keep our finger down on the control key then, and we're highlighting that, are we, as well. So we've highlighted what we want, and we're going to change those to Arial. And there's Arial there. Okay, that's what we've done. Oh, and it also wanted as well, I think this is expenditure forecast. Yeah, and we're going to change that to Arial as well. Now, that was doing it by individual cells. Okay, so you can see how each of the cells were highlighted, and they were all then changed. There was a different way to do this, if you wanted to, which was to be to do the whole sheet, and that is here. You'll see this little triangle here, this grey one. If I put a shape in, well, you can view a little arrow pointing it. This triangle there. We're looking at. Oh, let's change the colour of that. So this triangle here, this one, right? Leave that out now. That one there, I'm going to click on it, and you see how everything's highlighted? I'm into my home, and I aerial a lot, and that would do that. Okay, now it says change the font size, so click on the required cell, then click on the font size in the menu. So here's the font size here, hit on it there, and then choose the size, so let's make it a bit bigger, say 14s. Now see that that's, now let's just expand these out, make them a bit bigger as well, and move that width as well, like that, okay. Make it even a bit bigger than that. What you can do as well is, if you double click like that, it'll move them around so that they're the size of them. Although that's not really very good in terms, it looks a bit messy for my liking. If you wanted to be exactly the same, then you would just highlight the whole lot and just move one of the cells, and it'll move them, and they'll all be exactly the same width if you highlight a whole series of columns above. Right, okay, change the font color. Yeah, I mean, all this sort of right clicking that says highlight them and then right click and then go through this thing is just nonsense. Why on earth would you do that when you've got all these shortcuts? Remember, in the exam we're about time. Time's important, so I'm now going to start to sort of switch off some things in the book and just say, well, we're not going to do that. Right, change the font color. We'll click the required cells here and here, let's say, and here's the font color. And we'll change those to, I don't know, some form of dark green. I'm not sure why I've done that, but there we go. Good choice. So that would be the font color. There. If we go into here, I didn't quite fancy any of those shades there. In here, and I go hit this thing here. Up comes the color wheel, and actually I fancy that particular shade of purple there. I click in that. There we go. So that's font colors there. So they're in here. This one that's next to it is fills. And we'll get to that when we get to it. But for those of you that are a bit excited about the idea of that one, see how it's set to yellow? Well, I can actually fill the whole block of colour like that. It's later on in the book. Right, it says that we can have a mini toolbar here on the bottom of page 37. I've never seen the use of a mini toolbar ever really. It just gets in the way. You end up just moving it all out of the way. I'm not sure that you're going to particularly ever need it in an exam either. So I'm not going to bother with that. Right, formatting numbers in here. So let's see now the note we've got. Go to the next sheet. Got some figures here. Okay, and we're going to change the number of decimal places here. And so I'll put some zeros in as well to just finish this off. And I've also as well, let's just expand that. Take that neater. I just left that in just so you could see how these things do, and just repetition from the previous chapter. So we've got these cells in here, 25.5s in here. Even if I put 25.50, still stays as that. Now I've got to try and get this so that I want to see the full pence. And so what I do is I highlight all of the cells that I want it to highlight. I'm going to do this one up here as well. So just finger on the control key and highlight those two as well. Right. If I right click in the cells, up comes the options. Here, I'm going to use format cells there, and here's all of my options for those cells. And so I'm going to go into number here. Okay, now in this sheet it would be to do decimal places, so number, up comes the decimal places here. I'm going to say it's 2. I press OK, and now you can see it's moved all those decimal places in there and put them in. That 25.5 has now become 25.50. We have now to put some. We've got some more sheet things that come up here. Let's totals. Oh, and we've got another line as well. So let's add those. Add this in. 28 by the 4th 2016, and we've got 107.9, and nothing in there. And now I set that up as an equation just so it drags it to that. Okay. Put the totals in. If you remember last time we had our auto sum. I used that. It's the fastest way of doing it. Here. And we decided that our balance carried forward is going to be that. Right. We're still in formatting anyway, but let's just see how that one works. Right, so we've done the that's formatting for those particular numbers. We're into page 40, and we decided as accountants we quite like these commas in between the pages. So what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight our figures again. Okay, let's see what it uses for this one. Okay, so we're going to go format cells, and we're into the number section, which is what it's going to be in here. And we're going to select the number 1 there, and it says use the percentage separator there, so we just tick that on. We've now put our little commas in between, so we can do that. Alternatively, you have these things down at the bottom, these custom versions where you see there's a whole series of other ones that are available. This is where everything's all provided down at the bottom, or over time you can even start writing them yourselves, but that's where we are so far. So I'll just put the little there, so let me undo that. If you do that with me, right click, format cells, number, into the number, we just flick on the use the comma for the thousand separator. And what that does is it's useful because it sort of starts to highlight where our thousands are and where our millions are. Okay, so we're now going to have some currency, with a pound signal. So we're going to highlight these again. We're going to go into our format cells. So we right click, format cells, and we're going to go into the number tab again. Okay, and we're going to select the currency one instead. Here, like that. And press OK, and the little pound signs come in front. Okay, if we're going to use that, we're going to do this again. So let's do it again. Right click into here. We've now got on page 41. We're going to switch this to being euros. Now we're into currency here. What does it want us to do? If the values we enter were euros, we could use the same figure as pound sterling and select the euro symbol from those delayed. Or symbol, which is here. So symbol is here, and it wants us to then put in whatever we're going to put in, which is going to be, well, any euro that you want really. Okay, and there would be euros coming in. Right. Hopefully that's got us through the first bit of formatting. You will see a lot of formatting within the exam. Right, dealing with percentages. So we've got some form of thing that's now put in there though, which I think is the carried forward balance divided by the opening balance. For some reason somebody wanted that. Let me expand this lot out now a little bit. There you go. So that's how I expanded out the width of the column again. And it's saying that, right, so we're going to be going for that divided by, which is our forward slash, that. There we go. So we've got this huge long list of figures here. It's decided that it's going to do it in 2 decimal places in the book on page 42. So that's where we are so far. But we'd like that to be a percentage. So we right click in it, bring up our format cells. We're into the number tab already, percentage, and there's our percentage with our number of decimal places here. So we decided we're going to go for 2. There we go, there's our percentage there. Right, cell alignment then. Okay, so what we've got now here then is in our home figure. This is our cell alignment section here. This is top, middle and bottom in the heights. This is left, middle and right in the alignments. So I'll show you how this now works. I'm going to make this I'm going to expand these out a touch here. Right, so top switches at the top, that puts it in the middle, that puts it bottom. Okay. Mostly you'll see them set, you'll typically see everything set to bottom because it's annoying. The other ones can be a touch annoying at times. But just in case it's the examiner sort of set it up with that and wants you to move it down to that. So you know where the top, middle and bottom alignments are. And then left, middle, right, and he's here. So it's decided that it wants to left align this here. Left. This lot is right aligned here. And it's decided it's going to center this here. You'd never do that in real life. However, you will in the exam be exact. That's going to be left centered then, is it? I'm going to center that. Okay. I'm going to left align that. There. But you will in the exam often be asked to realign data. Okay. So, to change the way data is aligned in cells or cells, well, you're never going to use what's in here in this 44. You're going to use these shortcut methods in here. Let's do it in a way which they ask in the book. Format, and then we've got this alignment section, and then we've got this versions here with both the horizontal and then the vertical ones. So those are the vertical ones, those are the horizontal ones there. But you'll never use that. You'll use those buttons there in the home screen. Yeah, so that's the second option in the OR. Not sure why it's giving you the worst option first. Right, merge cells. So let's insert a row. So we're going to go and insert 2 rows here. Right click, insert. And then what we want to do is we want to put transactions in here in a merge cell across the whole lot in the middle. So how are we going to do that? Well, firstly we're going to select the cells required, the 3 cells, right click, format cells, and then you back into this alignment cell here, and then we've got some options here. Okay, that one is the merge cell option in here. Merge cells, and you see how now that cell has all become one cell. Let's put the transactions in there. It was going to be bold, wasn't it? And it's single underlined, and it's in the middle. There, so there's that and that. That was the middle alignment there. Okay, so that's there. Now to unmerge this, because sometimes you'll see a spreadsheet and you'll want to unmerge it. It can be a tad annoying sometimes. Occasionally you've got mergings and it prevents you doing equations. So let me just show you how this works here. It will work like that. Often if you're doing equations you're trying to link to that, it'll do B colon to D and you might not want it to be merged. So to unmerge it, right click, format cells, and then just click the tick it off, and then that's merged. So to merge, format cells, alignment, merge cells, and to unmerge you do the opposite way. I'll just explain wrap to text whilst we're here. Text. Okay, now you'll see how this is not in here. Let's put something else next to it, and you'll see how that's cut off this thing that's appearing here. But I might want to keep that in there, so what I might do here is I go right click, format cells, and then I use that wrap to text, and you'll see what it's done here is it's wrapped it. And if I just then drag this down a touch, that can be more useful for certainly titles quite often on the left hand side. So that's what wrap to text is. You see how it's no longer now stripping over that line here, and see how that's an unwrapped to text. That's one that's not been wrapped to text and it's going over that column there. If I now switch that, format it, wrap it to text, see how it's now come inside and it stayed within the cell. An advantage, it stays within the cell. A disadvantage, it stays within the cell. So if there's a lot of it in there, it makes this thing huge. So that's what wrap to text is, because I'm sure that when you saw that alongside the merge cell, you thought, what was that all about? Right, okay, so we've now got the methods in which numbers can be displayed. Okay, so we got the 10th of February. Let's put this next to it then. All right, okay, so 10th of February 2016. Okay. Now I wonder whether that actually does come up as, let's just see whether that's a number or whether that's a text string. Never tested this before. No, it's not. So that's not a date. That's a string of text. So that Excel isn't recognizing that as a date. So instead, what you've got to do is you've got to put something in which is recognized as a date. So let's go 10 and then forward slash and then 02 forward slash 2016, and that's one option. We could change this in here, and we'll change this now. So format cells into date in here, and we've got this whole series of options in here. There. So we've got this whole series of options there. So we're going to pick that one, and let's now change that to that. If you wanted another way of doing it, you can do it in customs, and you can write out the things yourself. So let's say I wanted it to be DDD for some strange reason. I wanted the month to be 3 months, and I wanted to pick all the years. There we go. By going DDD, I think with over the 3 rather than 2, it means that it could go Wednesday. But let's change that back because that's not much use. Let's change that to 2. There we go. So I could go like that if I wanted it to be 3 letters rather than numbers. Once I go past 2, in terms of 2 recognizable sensible ones, it switches it from the numbers to letters. Now, what is that in Excel? And actually, it's a number. I'm going to show you now this here. I'm going to now format that, and you see how that's a number. So all dates within Excel, in fact all dates and times, have numbers in there. So it's just specifically a number in there. But when we change the formatting of that to the date, it comes back up as that. Do you need to know that? I'm not sure actually. We'll see later on whether we need to work out the number of days from today, the today function. But just so you know, you can type in the date, and you type it in like that. We've got this on page 45 tells us how to change the format of that date, and then just so that you know that's actually a number that's been put in. Right. Okay. So where are we now? We've gone through, and we're now supposed to be under. Oh right. Oh sorry. Actually, the bottom bit of it actually said you could do or explains the custom tab, but it only does it in a sentence. Let's just go back into that then, into this format cells. Right click, and in this custom one here, the first section, if we're doing dates and we do DD, is the how many days. Whether it's going to come up as days of the week if you go past the 2 Ds. That will show you the months. If you go past 2, then it will switch from a number to letters in the month, and then this will be the number of things. If I wonder what would happen if you did 3. Well, that's going to make it won't make sense. You're either going to go for 2 or you're going to go for 4. There. Let's just try that again. No, it doesn't let you do anything. You either go for 2 or you go for 4. So that was what the customs bit on the bottom of page 45 was about. On the top of page 46, dates and times. Occasionally, it'd be useful to put a time within it, and so times will be 13. Let's go for 13 colon 30 colon 40. Right, and in our format cells. That's the time there as it's laid out. Again, this is a number. In reality, how this is used in real life is that you'll tend to use that to actually work out, let's say, things like timesheets, things like that. So you'd put in the time, the start time and the end time. That'll tell you how many hours of working. So let's put in 12, 30, 40 seconds after, and delete one from the other. See, there's 1 hour. That's how you use it in reality. So that's the point of that. Right, okay, and that gets us through to where I said we were going to get up to, which was page setup and printing. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. Yeah, you will need to be able to format in the exam, so just practice it if you haven't got those there. But what you can do with this video, as ever, is just follow me on the mouse and type through and stop the videos and go back and forth as you want to. Hope that was helpful. Bye, I'll see you in the next one.